Hey everyone, now that Ford and GM have reported first quarter earnings, I wanted to update my comparison in Ford versus GM stock and answer the question which stock is the better buy right now. So that's what I'll do in this video, provide a brief overview of GM and Ford's latest earnings results, look at some long-term profit margins, then look at their valuations and answer the question which stock is the better buy. So let's begin. In the most recent quarter for GM, revenue increased by 11% to 40 billion and earnings per share increased by 25% to $1.69 compared to Ford, where revenue increased by 20% and earnings per share increased by 66%. Each of the car companies you notice are experiencing very solid revenue growth and profit growth. The industry is working in their favor right now as supply chain shortages have allowed Ford and GM to produce its most profitable vehicles and sell them at closer to full price without offering incentives. Additionally, Ford and GM are investing in ramping up electric vehicles. So Ford is scaling up the Mach E capacity to 210,000 by this fall and the Ford Lightning truck to 150,000 by the fall. It's on schedule to produce 500,000 electric trucks per year by 2025. Similarly, GM is expanding US battery cell production, and GM says it will have capacity to produce 1 million EVs by 2025 and more after that. So GM is investing more aggressively in ramping up EV production compared to Ford. Already, GM sold more than 20,000 EVs in the US and to take the second place in market share behind Tesla. One area that I'm excited about for GM is in their pioneering self-driving technology with Cruise. They've already completed over 1,000 driverless trips per day. That they're approved to operate in a couple of cities. I think it's in San Francisco and Phoenix, Arizona, that they're able to offer trips in their driverless cars, pick up people and take them to locations, and that's really exciting. If they can continue on that roadmap of expanding this technology, that could be a big boost to GM's revenue and profitability down the line. GM is on target for earnings per share of $6.35 to $7.35. That was an increase from their previous target of $6.50. So the year is going much better than GM expected. For Ford, they're forecasting 2023 operating income of $10 billion and free cash flow of 6 billion. So the operating income of 10 billion is throwing off a lot of cash that Ford is using to invest in ramping up its EV division. So each of these two companies, I mean, they're known as, legacy car companies, but they're really pushing hard to get into EVs, and they're ahead of a lot of these EV only companies that you could think of in terms of manufacturing capacity and units sold already. They're really behind the Tesla, as I noted earlier, as the main one that they're behind. Otherwise, there are fewer US EV companies that they're behind. They've got more production capacity than Rivian, than Lucid, than Polestar. So they're ahead here. If you're looking at an EV car company, Ford and GM can be considered. Yeah, now that I've looked at their short term prospects and what happened in the most recent quarter, let me look longer term at Ford and GM's operating profit margin over the trailing 12 months, going all the way back to 2013. And they've both done a nice job in boosting their operating profitability, with Ford having the advantage for most of the last decade, GM having an advantage briefly in the pandemic disrupted times of 2020 and 2021. In the most recent trailing 12 months, they've been pretty close. 7.38% for Ford, 6.65% for GM. Finally, I wanted to look at the valuation, look at which stock is cheaper. Ford is more expensive at a forward price to earnings of 6.76. GM is less expensive at a forward price to earnings of 5.192. So, given everything that I know about these two companies, given their prospects long term and what's happening at the companies right now, I would say that GM is the better stock to buy. GM has similar prospects to Ford. I would say very close in terms of revenue and profit prospects in the near and long term. And as a bonus, they're trading at a cheaper valuation compared to Ford. So you get a bigger margin of safety compared to Ford when you buy GM stock. All right, so that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you again soon. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.